kia ora, everyone. I'm Ilmaz for the past probably half year to year, I think now. I've been co-convener of the Geoid Special Interest Group along with Jenny, our awesome geo education, outreach and international development special interest group, which is part of the Geoscience Society of New Zealand. As part of what we do, we host regular talks with people who have kōrero to share about outreach and education. And so tonight I'm very excited to be introducing Morne Mamlambo. And I first actually became aware of Morne when he did a talk to our paleontology special interest group, which some of you may have attended. So I really appreciate Morne being here to give us a lens on what he does in the wonderful world of fossils and fossils adventures as a enthusiastic amateur, as he calls himself. So I'll just give you a quick introduction to Morne, and we're just a little bit of housekeeping. Morne has said he's happy to take questions during the talk and after the talk. If you have a comment or question, could you put your hand up and we'll unmute you. And you are all muted, and we appreciate that. And only unmute yourself if you would like to say something. So, in Morne's own words, for the past 6 years, he has been diving into the rivers, beaches, and cliffs of New Zealand's South Island, capturing his fossil hunting adventures on camera. Along the way, he has stumbled into an unexpected role as a science communicator, something he never set out to be, but now finds incredibly rewarding. In this talk, Morne will share the lessons, laughs, and inevitable missteps from his journey, showing how curiosity and a few failures can open the door to discovery. Sounds fascinating, and I can't wait to hear about it. So the floor is all yours, Morne. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ilmaz. Yeah, thanks everyone. Really excited to chat to you a little bit about how I kind of fell into science communication. Let me just start sharing. I've got a bit of a presentation going on here. So the topic is literally stumbling into science communication because I didn't set out to talk about science at all. As this kind of happened, and I'll take you a little bit through my journey. And like Ilmar said, if there's any questions, please just raise your hand and we can take it. I'm not very formal. Let's see. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, a little bit of my background. So way back in 2000, I did a bachelor, well, 2003, I did a Bachelor of Commerce, almost, because I joined a band and then the band started touring. So I never finished my final economics paper. But then I started as a software engineer. So I've been a software engineer for 20 years now. And now I'm a team lead for a large software development company. So very, very not related to science or fossils. But I found a fossil in New Zealand in late 2018. So that's where I'm from, East London on the eastern coast of South Africa. And our claim to fame is we've got 7-meter earthworms. The largest earthworm ever found was in near my hometown of King Williamstown, East London over there. They also found the coelacanth, so they very surprisingly found a Cretaceous fish that they thought was extinct. And that's kind of just where I'm from. I've been in New Zealand for 10 years, and what I've been doing is finding fossils. I don't know if the audio is coming through, but here's one of the videos that I'm quite proud of. So, since I heard that there were fossil penguins in New Zealand, I've been trying to find a fossil penguin. And 3 years ago, I finally found a fossil penguin. And what you're seeing here is this is kind of what I do. So I find the fossils and then I prep them. And what you're seeing here is about 5 months of work condensed into maybe 2 minutes. And then I put these videos onto YouTube. So in essence, I just go and have adventures and then I try and figure out what I find and I take people along on the journey. This is where it all started, Motunau Beach in North Canterbury. It's about 45 minutes north of Christchurch. And I was out here for a picnic, maybe, 7 years ago, and I found this fossil on the top right. And I saw it was a fossil and I was quite interested. Well, it was a bone, but it was heavy as a rock. And I hadn't found fossils before because in South Africa there's legislation against it, whereas in New Zealand we're very lucky we can go looking for fossils. And I did a bit of digging and found out that there are more fossils in the area. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to show the people back home in South Africa, some of my friends and also family. I wanted to show them what I was up to. So I started making videos of, what I was finding, misidentifying most of the things I was finding. But yeah, I got better with the identification. And now I've got these two YouTube channels, and you can see the fossil one on the top. I joined, what was that, 24 February 2019. It's got about 590,000 subscribers, so it's done really well, that one. It's got 291 videos and just over 200 million views. So that's been the channel I've been focusing on. So I try and do at least a video a week and maybe two or three short videos that I publish across YouTube. And then I've also got my rock channel at the bottom there. I haven't been as active on that one, but there's about almost 10,000 subscribers on there and quite interesting. I'll show you the stats a little bit in a little while, but that's, got about 2 million views. So you can see, yeah, 100 times more on this uh, fossil channel. So I've been really enjoying this. And oh yeah, I'm also on TikTok. So I'll tell you a little bit more about the what I found the differences in the audiences. But yeah, TikTok, strangely, it's almost exactly the same number as my one YouTube channel, 589,000 and 590,000. That's yeah, quite strange. And then I've recently started on Facebook, so I've got about 93,000 followers on that. And it sounds like a lot, but with TikTok and YouTube Shorts, it's very easy to get a lot of followers in a short amount of time. So I would say I've probably got a core of 100,000 followers. Uh, yeah, not 1.2 million across the channels. um, this is just a little bit of an insight into the algorithms. So if you do videos, you soon find out that it's very tricky to figure out what videos will do well. But this penguin time lapse that I did, so it's 5 months of work, and I condensed it into 8 minutes originally. So this is the one in the middle here, the YouTube original, and that's had about 2.7 million views over the last 2 years. Then I re-edited that video into a YouTube short. So I condensed that video, that time lapse, that 5 months of videos, I condensed that further into less than a minute. So yeah, it takes a bit of creative editing to make it. You want to tell a story, so you don't just want to, show what you're doing. You want to show a bit of excitement. You want to take people on a journey. So it gets a bit tricky to do that in 1 minute. But yeah, that one's at the moment got 120 million views. So that's my most popular video at the moment on YouTube. And then that same video's got about 87 million views on TikTok. So yeah, combined like 200 million views for those two videos. Um, yeah, that's it's interesting the journey you go on with this because initially people think you faked it. So there's a lot of fake videos on the internet. So initially people thought I had just put some bones into some concrete and I found it, in quotation marks and scare quotes. But yeah, eventually people start, accepting that fossils are found in these cemented concretions. Concretions become something that people know about. Yes, it's quite interesting seeing the journey. Um, and what I try and do with my YouTube channel, so you've got the viral videos like this one. This is the ones that attract the audience. But sometimes because I want to share knowledge on my YouTube channel, I deliberately do a video which I know it's not going to be a viral hit. It's going to be a lot of work. It's not going to be a viral hit, but it's going to be there for people that are serious about paleontology or wanting to get into a paleontology career. So what I did is I talked to how many, like, it looks like 12 or 13 paleontologists. You might recognize some of these faces. Some of them are in the SIG group. There's Felix and Alan from Tapapa on the top right. And yeah, Nick Rollins top left from Otago. And so these are a mixture of paleontologists in their career, um, fossil preppers that didn't go to university, and some students that I got to know when I went back to university, which I'll talk about in a little while. But what I did with this is I asked them how did they get into paleontology. So we've got this wide perspective of people in New Zealand, in the USA. We've got people from Taiwan, Australia, the States, people that went to university, people that, are self-taught. And this video only got like 12,000 views. So all this work, and it got like 12,000 views. And it was months of having interviews with people, editing the videos together. But I know that because I want to, have a resource for people to learn more about paleontology, it's not just about the viral videos. It's not just about, time lapses. Now and again, you have to do, the hard yards to get some information out there. Um, in kind of a similar vein, and I heard Ilmar's talk about ethical geo that's going to happen, but I also did a video with Nick Rollins about around ethical fossil collection, just to because a lot of people see videos on YouTube or the internet where you smash a rock open and you've got a fossil inside. And they try and do it on our local beaches, and our fossils are different because the concretions, grow from a central point. They're not in slate, which splits easily. And so, yeah, I thought it's important to focus on that as well. And you have being careful because I'm very much an amateur and I love fossil collection, and I want other people to fossil collect, but also do it in a way that, we're not gonna uh, make legislation happen because people are doing it incorrectly, doing it, in a sustainable manner. So yeah, that was another video I did, and this is kind of one of the situations I came across which made me want to do that video. And what we've got over here is a fossil. A concretion in one of the local rivers, and you can see there's a really big chunk of it knocked out, and it's sitting here next to this fossil over here. And uh, you know, I've got a good idea who did this, but um, it's just very important that people know that if you damage a fossil like this, we're losing scientific data. So this spurred me on to, be a bit more proactive with trying to share that message. And yeah, this is a really big 1 ton bit of plesiosaur. You can see the plesiosaur bones coming out there. And I spoke to a few people from the Canterbury Museum and local fossil hunters, and we made a plan to get this out of the river before it got damaged even further. So got the forestry company involved. They helped us lift this up because this 1 ton boulder was not coming out of this mud without some serious equipment, and they had one of those uh, big yellow machines that lifts up logs, and it lifted this up no problem. And yeah, we managed to get it home in the end. That's me carrying the other piece. So I spend a lot of my time carrying random fossils, and that's that fossil safely out of the riverbed. And you can see that machine that picked it up. There's a bit of the bone that's unfortunately been damaged. So if you want to get into videos, and I found videos a really good way of interacting with a lot of people in a very short space of time. So it's the hour or two you spend making the video is a really efficient way to get your message out there. Because there's no way, I would be having people from Vietnam and Thailand, talk to me about fossil collection, but YouTube allows you to do that. YouTube, so yeah, the audiences are very different. So YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok, those are the ones I focus on. And if you look there at the bottom, the rock channel I've just recently created, the top viewership is from New Zealand, then the United States. And for the fossil one, it's very strange. New Zealand doesn't even come up in the first 5 countries. So that's a lot more international viewers over there. But so YouTube is the probably the most common one for people to watch videos on. That's the one that's been running the longest. It's all ages, and the comments are generally quite nice. You do get some spam comments, you do get some people trolling, but it's not as much as on Facebook. So Facebook, it's got the meanest comments by far, and it's also got the older audience. So Facebook is probably the social media site that most people are familiar with. So a lot of people have got access to it. Um, you know, the older generation uses it to keep in touch with family and friends. And then TikTok is very much, a young audience, short, fast. You need to catch someone's attention within the first 2 seconds. Um, yeah, and when I publish a video, I will slightly tweak it between YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Sometimes it'll be the same video if it's a short video, but oftentimes there'll be slight changes that I do. So my YouTube videos will be longer form. They'll be a little bit more science heavy. TikTok, I try and funnel people into my YouTube channel. So if someone's really interested in the fossils I'm finding on TikTok and they find me on TikTok, I generally try and get them to watch my videos on YouTube, which are longer form. So if you're wanting to to grow your YouTube channel, I don't know how many people on this call have got YouTube channels or are trying to do science communication via videos, but you have to be consistent. So I've been doing this since 2019, which is scary because it's 6 years, and I've recently had someone tell me, "Oh, I used to watch your videos when I was at school, and now they finished university." So it's scary how quickly that happens. But being authentic is probably the most important thing. You'll see that a lot of channels, people are very overexcited when they find something or do something. There's lots of shouting. I'm not that way, so I don't try and be that way. I'm just, people say I'm pretty chilled on my videos and they enjoy that. So you don't have to be someone else when you make videos. You can literally, while you're at work, while you're at a school, doing something science related, you can turn the camera on and you don't even have to show your face. A lot of people don't show their face. So if that's not something you're interested in, yeah, you don't have to. If you're wondering what software I use, so I use this DaVinci Resolve Studio. So there's a free version. You can use a free version. I was using Adobe, but it's just too expensive and it's like $60 a month for the Adobe suite. So, I'd rather pay the $500 once off if I'm going to be using it for a long time. But I mean, the free version's fine, and I use Affinity Photo. And then for my 3D modeling, I use Blender. So what happened? How did I get into this this science communication? Because again, about a year or two into making the videos, uh, it started getting a bit of attraction. People were starting to watch it. And some teachers started getting in touch, teachers from Christchurch, and mostly from, the local area. There were a few Auckland schools that were coming for tours in the Island, but yeah, mostly it was local teachers. And they asked me, can I come talk, about fossils? And of course, yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'll come talk to you about fossils. So I visited, numerous schools. I enjoy talking to kids about fossils. They're super excited. I mean, dinosaurs are so cool when you a kid and or an adult. They're just cool in general. So what I do is when I go visit a school, I take some rare fossils along. So on the left-hand picture, I'm holding a big turtle skull that I found, which is probably going to end up being a new species. I found it right at the car park at Martinell Beach. It was right, like 5 meters from my car. And what I do is I take a bunch of fossils. So I'll take a box of fossils and then leave it with the teacher so that they can keep those fossils, forever and they can touch it. If they break it, they break it. I mean, I won't leave anything super rare with them, but I'll leave, some fossil crabs, some plesiosaur bones, maybe some moa bone if I have it. Or, on the right-hand side, I made a little display for their library. So that's a nice plesiosaur vertebra that I found. And I just mounted it for them. And that's in the library, and kids can touch it. It's not, it looks a bit dirtier now because there's lots of dirty hands smudging it. But I mean, it's getting so much use rather than just sitting in my garage. And this is on the left-hand side. I created or I 3D printed some moa eggs and some kiwi eggs for Easter, and they painted it. And what I've done a few times is I've done some field trips with kids. So on the right-hand side is a nice fossil lobster. that someone found one of the, I think she was 8 years old, from the Greater Valley School. She found this on Martineau Beach. And I'm pretty sure that that's something very unique. I haven't seen anything like that. So it's back at the school now, and I'll eventually prepare it for them, and maybe it will get written up in a paper. And the school, after they found this, they were buzzing. They were so excited about fossils. There's only 35 kids, I think, in the school. So everyone, of course, wanted a photo with this fossil. They all went back to the beach on the weekend with their parents to go look for more fossils. So it's really exciting to see, how just finding, something like this, yeah, it just sparks the interest. And, hopefully some of those kids, they might not become paleontologists, but maybe, one day when they're a software engineer, they'll still be interested in fossils and fossil prepping. GeoBusters, yeah, sorry, I'm running quite long here, but I'll speed it up. I don't have too many slides. And also ask questions if you've got
Uh,
questions. So
you're all,
GeoBusters is
you're all good,
a
Morne. Take your time.
paleontology and geology club I helped out with at the Christchurch Mineral and Lapidary Club. So every month on a Sunday afternoon, we'd have an activity with the kids, and they love it. They would come in and spend 2, 3 hours either, building something or painting something. And what I'm holding in the top picture there, that's a fossil. So they have a show and tell section. So a kid found that really big vertebra there. And on the left is some of the activities. So we 3D printed some megalodon teeth and they decorated it with varying degrees of accuracy, some like polka dots on the meg teeth. One thing I realized is when I went to the visit schools is there's not really a resource I could leave with them that was really about New Zealand fossils. So I decided to make a card game with stats about New Zealand fossils. So these are, yeah, if you've ever played Top Trumps, this is a very similar game. So you've got 30 unique fossils, and then you divide it up in two piles, and you and a friend play. And if I pick rarity 9 and your rarity is 7, then I get your card. That kind of thing. It's a very simple game, but it teaches, you about the New Zealand fossils. And a lot of people don't know how cool New Zealand fossils are. I mean, the giant penguin, that Kumimanu penguin over there, no one knows about it. Or, or if they've heard about it, they've forgotten about it again. And it's a huge penguin. And, the fact that we had dinosaurs in the North Island, people don't really know about it. I didn't know about it when I started out. And just who Joan Wuffen is, all those things that are really important. So I've been handing these out at schools. It's like I say, it's a set of about 30 cards in there. And I'm not an artist at all. I am I'm better with coding than, the creative side. But what I did is it's a combination of original artwork. So the mower on the left hand, on the right hand side there is by Dana Franklin. She's an artist, and I think she's worked at Witter Workshop, so she's very accomplished. And she let me use this mower picture. So that's a beautiful picture, professional picture. And then you can see, so the bony toothed bird over there in the middle, that is me photoshopping the fossil onto a modern pelican. And I just had to change the snout. So you can get away with quite a bit. And then you can also just use 3D renders, which I did for quite a few of them as well. The problem I've run into is that finding time for the school visits. So I love going to schools, but what I have to do when I go visit a school is use up my annual leave, which is not sustainable. I mean, can't just use up all my annual leave. But there's really a need for local or for kids to learn about fossils. And I don't know what the solution is, but I mean, there must be something out there. But what I'm doing at the moment is I'll still visit schools, but I can't visit as many schools as I would like to. But I found making videos is a really good way of at least having a resource there for schools to view. So they play my videos quite often in the schools, or I send, samples to the school. So I'll put together a box of fossils with descriptions where they're from and then send it to the school. And that at least allows him to touch it, and have contact with the fossils. And, just a bit more about science communication. So I got to talk to Papa about fossils when they had Dinosaurs of Patagonia um, exhibition, I think 2 years ago or a year ago. And that was a really awesome moment because I remember going to Te Papa and just being blown away by all the exhibitions, never thinking I'd give a talk there. And I mean, I'm a very enthusiastic amateur, and for that, uh, to get that opportunity just, shows you what you can do just by being enthusiastic, I suppose. It's just, keep asking questions, keep trying things. And I even gave a talk at the GSNZ conference last year about that turtle skull I found, which I'm going to try and write up in a paper eventually. But you've heard me talk about, prepping fossils. So prepping fossils is the part you don't really think of. So, people often think about finding a fossil and seeing a fossil in the museum, but in between there's the prepping stage where you actually have to take the bone out of the yeah, the bone out of the rock before it's ready for display or for being identified. And that's kind of what I started doing. So I found a few crabs and I wanted to see what the crab looked like. I got a cheap electric engraver and then got a pneumatic engraver. And now at this point, museums are sending me fossils to prep. So that's, just another side of this hobby. And it's such a great hobby because there's always something new to learn. There's so much with it. And this is what I mean by fossil prepping. This is a really big crab I found. And it's about 120 hours of footage that I've stabilized and then published. So yeah, it's finding enough hard drives is sometimes a challenge to put all the footage on. But yeah, this is one of the really big Tumidocarcinus giganteus crabs. And you can see it's very satisfying seeing it emerge like this. Because when I'm actually prepping the fossil, I don't get this view. I might see like another centimeter appear in the evening, whereas this is super, super nice when you see it just appear like this. I also do micro aerobrasion. So what I enjoy doing is experimenting. So I start off with the air scribe, and then I'm like, well, there's a paper over here on using micro aerobrasion. I wonder if that will work on New Zealand fossils. And I was very lucky in that I was sponsored by Vanneman, who make this ProBlast on the right. So one perk of having viewers is that companies sometimes do partnerships with you. So push. What I did is I got this Pro Blast, tested it out. I was happy with it, so I told them, yeah, I'll do a partnership video with you, and I got to keep the equipment, and I just had to make a video showing how it's used. I do get lots of other things that I sometimes send back because I'm not happy with the way they work, or I feel like it's not good value for money. So you have to be quite. It has to be in line with what I'm doing. It would, I wouldn't do like a random, I don't know, even an example like a dog food ad or something like that on my channel. Yeah, and I do also do some acid prepping. It's not as dangerous as it sounds. It's basically vinegar. But if you look on the right-hand side, that's the skull of the turtle, and you can see the detail you get out there. It looks amazing. That bone looks like it's 10 years old, not like 2 or 4 million years old. So eventually I had to sit down, after 2, 3 years. I'm like, well, what am I actually doing here? What am I trying to do? And because that kind of that will direct a lot of the videos I make, or that where I spend my time, because I've only got so much time between family, work, and university now. So first thing I wanted to do is just, show people what's around here and get more people going outdoors looking for fossils, get people curious and exploring. A lot of people would ask me, where do you go? And I'm like, well, it's roughly this area. You're going to have to go find it yourself. And then, they go find. Sometimes they don't find it. Sometimes they find it and they email me very excitedly. I also want to learn, about paleontology, and while I'm doing that, inspire the next generation, because if we get more people excited about paleontology, not necessarily studying paleontology, but at least, you know, being interested in it while they're doing other jobs, I think there'll be a lot more funding opportunities, and then we can do more science for it. And then my last goal is I want to find a proper dinosaur in the South Island. And I'm not talking like a fragment of a bone. I don't want to find a little vertebrate. I want to find like a skull of like a theropod or something. So it's good to have dreams. And very excitedly, one of the teeth I found, this is a nice large shark tooth I found. Didn't know it was anything special, but turns out it's the first time they found one in New Zealand. So it was a new species for New Zealand, not a new species. But this is the first time I've been actually mentioned in a paper. Hopefully that's gonna uh, change soon. But yeah, this was the first time something I found was actually important enough to be in a paper. Now, because I don't have a background in science or paleontology, I decided I needed to learn more about this, about the actual science part, if I was going to do school talks and if I was going to do science communication. So, somewhere in the, 3, 4 years that I was doing these videos, it kind of dawned on me that I was doing science communication. Um, so I enrolled myself in a geology and biology degree at University of Canterbury. They didn't want to give me credit for my courses I did in 2003. They said, no, you can't get credit for that. So I had to start in first year papers, where I was literally half the age of everyone else. But I mean, no one cares. It's just you're there to learn, and I've learned so much already. I thought I knew a bit about geology. I did not know anything about geology because you start at the basics. You start, right from the scratch. How do mountains form? How does, sand become sandstone? All those things that I just kind of assumed. Uh, I knew how it would work, but it's been a lot easier the second time around. So if you're thinking of going back to university, definitely do. So I don't go to the lectures. They record them so I can watch them online, and you can watch them at 1.5 speed. So that makes it a lot easier. I do go in for the labs. So I just take leave, and go in for my 4 hour lab once a week, because you have to do the labs obviously in person. You can't just do them online. Yeah, so that's me holding uh, a Canadian goose. It's one of those. It's got no insides. They've just kind of stuffed it with wool, something. And last year, I was running out of space. So everything I do has been done in half of a double garage. So one of my cars sleeps outside, and I've been doing all my prepping and videos and whatnot in half of the garage. But I decided I need a bigger space. And what I did is I signed a year lease for an old classroom. So it was an old classroom in Waikuku, and I moved in. It took me about 6 months to get set up. I was very surprised at how long it took because I had to make all the displays, move all my fossils in, paint. Painting takes so long. Get the TV set up, get the microscope station set up, get insurance. It's a lot more than you think. I've got a lot more respect for people doing, exhibitions and museums. But I opened it up, and people were super excited. Like kids were coming in, spending literally like an hour and a half in this small area. What I did is all the fossils could be touched. So they could touch the fossils, they could touch plesiosaurs, they could touch crabs. And yeah, in January, so I was only open Saturdays and Sundays for like 4 hours from 10 to 2. And in school holidays, I was also open on a Tuesday or a Thursday, I forget which one. But in January of 2025, I had 960 people come through, which is, yeah, quite a few people. I didn't charge, I just had a donation box and people could put a donation in there. Um, and some more photos. So I had an outside area with a river table, and kids love water. So if you're thinking of something to keep kids busy, river table, so good. Basically, it's just a little 12-volt pump that pumps the water from one side back to the other side, and they can make braided rivers. They can bury things and see how the water, uncovers them. And then on the right-hand side, there was an area where they could dig for fossils, and if they found one, they could keep it. So all my extra fossils went in there. Yeah, it was a great experience. I loved it so much. It was way more work than I thought. So I didn't renew my lease. I was trying to get the council interested if they could take it over. So, they could keep the fossils and all that, but they just had to pay the lease. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. I also found out that funding applications are a lot more tricky than I thought. So I did close, or I didn't renew the lease. So it was open for about 6 months. Had about 3,000 people in total come through. And yeah, kids really love having hands-on fossils. They would spend so much time in there, and no, it's a black light, ultraviolet lights that they could go and, some things glowed when they pointed the ultraviolet light on them. But for to keep something like this open, it's not a lot of money. So I think if you had 30 or $40,000 a year, you could pay the lease on a place like this and probably, have a few, costs going on. And you just need some volunteer staff. And there would be volunteers. People are very interested in having something like this. So I learned so much from this. It was a great experience. Um, but I had to kind of make a decision, where do I spend my time? And yeah, if I didn't get funding, kind of made the decision for me for that. But so glad I did it. It was an awesome experience. Um, a lot of my fossils, or some of my displays, like this moa I had and the Velociraptor, are 3D printed. So if you're thinking of 3D printers, get one. They're like $300 now, and they are foolproof, well, almost foolproof. So the moa, the little bush moa I printed, is from the Auckland Museum, and that cost me $90 to print. So less than 3 kilograms of filament, and a kilogram of filament is $30. Also, I've got some 3D models. So what I do is I got given a 3D scanner. Once again, a company gave it to me to use in the video, but I also just use my smartphone. And if you take enough photos, you put in some free software, it spits out an awesome model. And this allows people all over the world to print out my models. So I don't send fossils out of the country, but they can go and print my Tumetacarcinus crab or my turtle skull if they want to. And quite a few people do. Um, and if you're thinking of where to find fossils, I'm sure most of you know about limestone, mudstone, shale, any sedimentary rock, really. And I do talk about when not to remove a fossil. So, the last thing you want is people to hammer away at fossils and breaking little chips of it. And if you don't know, microfossils is also a thing. So if you want an experiment with some, in the classroom, you could literally take some mudstone, sift it down, and get all these cool fossils out of it. These forams and little shark teeth and things. Um, if you're on this call and you would like some fossils, this is my contact details. Send me a post bag, and I'll fill it up with some fossils for you and send it to you, especially if you're from a school. Happy to send it out. I mean, I can only have so many fossils, but what I've been doing is I just tell people, if you're in New Zealand, send me a post bag. I'll send you some fossils. Just a great way of getting people, to know what a fossil looks like and to hold it, keeps them interested. So yeah, where to from here? It might sound like I've got a plan. The plan changes, but I do need to finish my degree. I'm about halfway. I would like to publish some papers. I think what I didn't realize is how long it took to publish papers, and also that even if you find something cool, you need to find a paleontologist with an overlapping interest. So I thought kind of you find a fossil and it gets published, but you need to find someone who's A, interested in it, and B, has got knowledge about it to publish it. Um, I'm still going to make videos. That's what I enjoy. And if you don't enjoy making videos, it'll be hard to make videos because, yeah, sometimes it feels like work. Uh, but yeah, I just want to keep getting kids excited about fossils and rocks, and that's my mission. And if in the end, of all my videos I've made, I've got 2 or 3 people, doing geology or paleontology, or they're just interested in fossils, I'll be happy. And yeah, of course, I mean, it might look like I'm doing this by myself, but so many people that I bug and ask questions. My Paul Schofield at Canterbury Museum was he was really cool when I first started out. So I found some random fossils and I just emailed the museum and Paul got back to me so quickly. And he's like, well, bring it in. Let's have a look. Oh, sorry. We just beat my dog over there. Sorry about that. He's heard something outside. Yeah, so like I say, definitely not doing it in a vacuum. Standing on the shoulders of many, many giants. And also go check out Julian. I think Julian's part of this group. But you probably know about his YouTube channel. He does some amazing work. That's an old screenshot. He's got a lot more subscribers now. He's doing awesomely. But yeah, I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Wherever there's social media, you can probably find some of my videos. I think that's my last slide. Oh yeah, and I've got a link tree as well. So a link tree is a really good way of having really important or frequently asked questions on. So if you don't have a link tree, it's a really easy way to put links together and you can then share it instead of sharing a whole bunch of different social media videos. But yeah, that's it. If anyone's got any questions, happy to answer them.
Kia ora, Morne. Yeah, questions, just put up your hand or write in the chat if you're feeling a bit shy. But I'm just so impressed with what you've brought to this kaupapa with and your with your passion and your commitment and on top of a full-time job. And I think yeah, what you're doing is what we would hope to see for all fields of geology. Really, we really need to get kids knowing and understanding about
Mm,
rocks and geology that makes this country what we are.
yeah,
And just to acknowledge a couple of things you said as a mature student myself who completed my degree about 5 years ago, I really recommend it. It's
yeah,
and especially if you hook up with a few other people of a similar age. Yeah, so also if anyone wants any of the information that Morne shared, we will be recording this. Well, we have recorded it, and it will be going up on our GSNZ YouTube channel. So yeah, thanks, Morne. And any questions, comments? Something in the chat. Yeah. Would you like to ask that question, or shall I read it out, Mariana? Okay. I'll read it out. I
Can
have
you
a
hear
very.
me?
We can hear you. Go ahead,
Oh, good. I
Mariana.
wasn't
Yeah.
sure if my microphone was working. First of all, thank you so much, Morne. That was really interesting. And you're doing a really fantastic job, especially at the moment where science literacy is super vital. And as most of you will be aware, paleontology in particular has taken quite a hit of late, especially in New Zealand. So the don't underestimate the role you lead in this science communication space. I think you're doing a fantastic job because, as you said, even if you don't end up converting many of your audience into paleontologists, they could end up being policymakers, government people that make decisions about our future. So
yeah.
keep up the great work. Follow on from that, I had a question, which is kind of a really open question. In an ideal world where money was no object and time was infinite,
Yeah.
what would you like to do in the science communication space? Like, what would be your big ticket and high priority dreams?
I, having seen how excited kids and adults and, mature students get being able to touch fossils and see fossils, from the local area, knowing that a mosasaur used to swim around the school, for example, you see how that changes the perspective of people and kids about what's going on around them. I would make a really cool hands-on fossil center, kind of like the Duntroon one, not anything huge, but I would make everything interactive. Touch, touch. You can go dig here. You can bring something. So what kids spend so much time doing is they would go find something in a different part of the area and bring it to the microscope, or they would take it and go look at it under the UV light. That kind of they're doing little experiments by themselves. So I would do that and then just visit schools because that's what I really enjoy is just talking about fossils, getting people excited about fossils, and then having that center. But I quickly realized that I'm not great at running a center. I don't want to charge money. I don't want to do that kind of thing, that side of it. I like talking to people and I like sharing, about fossils.
Thank you. May I sneak a second question
Of
unrelated to this,
course,
please?
go for
Um,
it, Mariana.
how do you build relationships with mana whenua, and how do you navigate
Yeah,
fossil collecting from that perspective?
yeah. So in one of the main areas I go to near Kaikoura, that's a very culturally sensitive spot. There's some archaeological significant uh, areas very close by. So I'm always very respectful, and I've got a good relationship with some of the people from the Hapu there, um, where I've given them, for example, that 3D model of my moa. I gave that, to them to use at their marae. As long as they want, I give them fossils and I teach some of the kids about fossils. I forget the Maori word for youth, but not kids, but kind of like the teenagers. Um, and one example of, I found what I thought was a mosasaur skull, a really cool fossil. So like one of bucket list fossil. The only way I was going to get that out there was with a helicopter. And this is a culturally sensitive area. So I thought, if this was me and I was, where this was my ancestral area, would I be happy with someone bringing a helicopter and just starting carting things away? I thought probably not. Let me go through the correct channels. And, went through the correct channels. Finding the right people is always tricky, but there was someone I could contact and work through. I explained what I was doing, and in the end, they said no, they would not like that, and that's fine. That's their decision. I'm not gonna. There's, um, that's just how it goes. Yeah, Rangatai sounds like the correct one. Um, so some of the areas I go to, I have to be more sensitive than, like, for example, a random beach where there's nothing like that. But I've I've reached out to some of the local iwi to ask, would they like me to come talk about fossils and that, and never got a response. So I think it depends from area to area. So some people are very interested in it, and some people not. But it's not up to me to kind of force my way in. So I'm just, yeah, if someone says no, please don't stop going there, there's lots of other places to go. So I'm not, uh, I try and be, inclusive, but not pushy is kind of my approach. I don't know if I've really, um, yeah, described that really well, especially because I'm not from New Zealand, so I don't know what I don't know. Um, So yeah, but yeah, I've found people are always really interested in what I'm doing, no matter their background. And sometimes I'm surprised that it's someone that knows a lot more about the local area, and they can share that with me. There's some really cool legends as well that kind of tie in with fossils, which I've heard. I won't share them because they haven't told me I could share them. But yeah, there's some really cool stories as well.
Thank you.
I
Cool.
I think kind of what I'm trying to say is there's no one way, there's not like one contact person that I could always contact. Every area is different, and even even in one area, there'll be various people that say they're the right person, or they're not the right person. So it's it's yeah, it's not simple, but I always ask the question.
Um, cool. Just another thing I want to acknowledge, Morne, is your real generosity, really, like the offer to send fossils out to schools and that, as a bit of a person who picks up rocks that aren't necessarily that interesting and then refuse to get rid of them because it's something I picked up. I can relate to kind of stuff building up. But so I guess a place like this and how it aligned with our geoid special interest group. Obviously, um, a lot of us come at this from different areas. Some of us are educators. Some of us have an interest in science communication. Some of us may have stumbled into it by accident, which is kind of how my interest came up to it. It just seemed a natural. But yeah, if anyone here is kind of new to this group, we encourage you to join the GSNZ. It's a really amazing resource and part to be network to be part of. And then not only do you have access to our wonderful special interest group, as we've mentioned, there's a paleontology special group, and maybe through networks like this, someone will mention to someone that Morne's got this amazing idea that really, as you made clear in your kind of experimental year of operation, it's quite doable, and
Mm,
it's very sad that your council's not interested, but once again, like councils, they're struggling with this whole issue. What's their core services? But
mm,
maybe there's someone out there who can see the value in that. And even possibly through our own GSNZ society. And just so in kind of a bit of a segue, and then we'll wind it up. And I noticed you mentioned Nick Rawlins. We're actually doing a collaborative talk very soon with the uh, geoethics special interest group and the paleontology special interest group and our special interest group. I'll just give a that's going to be on Wednesday the 7th September at 7 p.m. with Associate Professor Nick Rawlins, University of Otago, with some I'll just give you a couple of sentences. It's obviously been in the news a bit. Around de-extinction hit the headlines recently with the resurrection of the direwolf and the push to bring back the moa. However, can scientists actually de-extinct animals, and more importantly, should they bring this back? In this talk, Nick Rawlins from the Otago University Zoology Department will delve into the science, ethics, and Indigenous concerns surrounding de-extinction, which I think is just going to be a fascinating talk. So I'll just have another quick look at the yeah, look, do keep up the good work. It's okay. Oh, I like Jenny's idea of a house bus fossil
yeah, that is cool.
laboratory. That is a great idea. Yeah, but like we used to have mobile libraries, and some of
Yeah,
us
yeah.
still do. But I think, yeah, and also, schools are very under-resourced and struggling, as we
Mm,
all know. The science curriculum is facing pretty big upheavals at the moment, along with the rest of the curriculum. So I think anything that where is driven by someone's passion and not relying on the system and bureaucracy, so to speak, which has its place, obviously, I think is really, really valuable. So thank you for your time talking to us, Morne. It was really interesting for me to hear a bit more about your mahi and all the work. I didn't obviously I kind of came to you through the Fossil Centre, and you talk about that. I didn't realize you'd been making YouTube videos for so long. So that's awesome. And yeah, shout out to Julian Thompson too. Most of you probably know him, but another great science
so good.
educator worth checking out. Unless Jenny's got anything she'd like to add, I'll probably wind up now and say thank you one last time, and thank you all for your time, and keep your eyes open for the recording on our YouTube channel, and please don't hesitate to share it with anyone you think might be interested.
Thanks, everyone.